Hi and welcome everyone. So today I'm joined by Grace. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Grace Akiyemi, founder of Shalom Link Mission.
And Linda.
Good morning. My name is Linda Duke and I'm the coordinator at Mission.
And I'm Esther and I'm one of the ambassadors at Shalom Link Mission. And today we thought it would be great, especially as it's Mental Health Awareness Week, to have a conversation about our experiences of mental health and how we are finding ways to progress and move forward and keep a healthy mental state. So one of the things that we wanted to highlight in the beginning of this video is that mental health cannot be addressed in one day. This is something that is continuous. Mental health isn't just a destination, it's a journey. And I feel like it's great to have a conversation about each person's journey and how we all know that we're never going to be there yet, but there's things that we can do to maintain where we are currently. So I just wanted to find out everyone's experiences of mental health. So maybe if you had a situation that you are going through or that you overcame or are overcoming, or a situation or a mental state that you were in that you could just share with everyone. Don't know who wants to start first.
As you all know, we all have our trauma from different angle, but I do have a lot. But I'm just going to speak on when I gave birth to my firstborn, my son. I had postnatal depression, which was not even diagnosed. I noticed that, I wasn't the way I should be as a mother. And then that was not addressed. It was not addressed, but I will still have to be a mom. And as you know, when you are abroad, there's no mom or dad to come and support you to make it giving birth easier. You have to do all that by yourself, and people, friends and neighbors will come and pitch in, but it's not the same as when you're back home, where you have the mom taking care of everything, and you get time to rest and restore, get your body to get restored. So during that time, it was a lot that happened. I was low, cry a lot. I wasn't eating. I wasn't doing the things I should do as a mother. Sometimes I feel really unhappy. And then on top of that, and I got pregnant again, I had my second child. So from not addressing the first postnatal depression, then having a child on top of that, it got to a point that I feel like giving up. I started to have suicidal thoughts that but the thing that kept me to keep on going is my children. That if I do kill myself or lose my life, who's going to look after them? And then I had an encounter with God whereby God gave me the healed me, and I was able to come out, and I'm today is what has sustained me, apart from many other techniques that I've used to be able to come out and be able to be mentally stable, I would say. Yeah, thank you.
I think this is a very important topic. It's a very important topic, and it's not something that is discussed in our society a lot of the times. What I found out personally, I can't really say I had a pinpoint moment of where I felt I was having any type of mental health challenges, but the only times I really think of when my aunt was really ill, and she had the terminal sickness. And for me, my aunt has always been a very strong person. She's strong-willed, she's strong. So for me, I remember going to the hospital and I seen her lying, on the bed. That for me just really broke me completely. And then, it started off with fear if she was going to be around, and then it kind of grew into a depression, and and again, unfortunately, we don't really want to talk about it, so we just put it in the back of our minds, and we're just constantly on a rabbit race. So for me, that's when I really took note of something really affecting me in that sense. So I hope that helps. That was my experience anyway, that I can pinpoint.
Yeah, I think what you just explained and what you just expressed is, you know, for a lot of people, they have had, especially during COVID as well, a lot of people fall ill, and, you know, a lot of people that have gone through a lot of stuff in terms of health wise. And it's always a hard hitter when someone in your family, especially someone that you're close to, has something that they're going through, because it affects, because trying to be strong for them also doesn't give you the chance sometimes to also feel how you want to feel. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I think one of my experiences especially was probably during university, because I'd moved to a different city for the 3 years, and the first year was the hardest year. Like, I struggled to like make friends. I struggled to find a group, you know. I struggled to get my academics done as well. In my first year, I really did struggle. Even though they say that first year is the easiest, I still struggled in all 3 years that I was there. I just, I had no, because you're just not prepared for what you're gonna do and what you have to produce. So I think, the pressure, and I tend to get very anxious quite quickly, and I tend to get very overwhelmed. So it was, and then especially feeling all of those emotions and then not being at home, I think really did make it worse for me, because I'm very close to like my family, and my mum is someone who I continuously like offload on and express myself to. So being or meeting new people and not feeling like I was quite there yet to express myself in that way, and then knowing that my other friends from London as well had their own things going on. So sometimes I didn't want to offload and burden them with my issues as well. And sometimes what I realized actually sometimes is, in the moments that I shared how I felt, I realized that they were feeling the exact same way. And so sometimes that helped me to speak up a little bit at times, because sometimes you can feel like you're the only person in that situation, like no one else is going through exactly what you're going through, but there's millions of people and billions of people on the planet. Someone somewhere is going through the exact situation. They might not feel or express it the same way that you do, but someone could say that they can relate to what you're saying. So I think that was one thing for me during university, was probably those 3 years were like the 3 hardest years of my existence, I would say. As a young person, especially moving out from home as well. So so I just wanted to ask everyone, what are some of the ways that, you know, you deal or maintain a healthy mental state?
I guess I would just quickly just start. It's just off the back of what I said earlier on. So, you know, after my own experience, and I started to notice more of my mental health. So the first thing I noticed what were my triggers. Because a lot of the times, you know, you could say, oh, you know, something as simple as a headache could be is because you're stressed, and then that leads to you being upset. So these are the things that I started to find out about myself. What were my triggers? How could I maintain it? Just off before COVID, I started to walk for an hour to 2 hours a day. And a lot of time, one thing really, really helped me, doing this place around me that I could visit that I didn't know of. So something as simple as going for a walk, you know, going for a swim. I did a lot of walking in the woods. There's so many germs that I found out in around UK and London that I didn't know existed. So for me, walking and also spending time with people that uplift me was a thing that I noticed, because, you know, there's only so much negativity that you have, and then you become bogged down with the whole thing. So for me was make sure I had people that were positive around me, because they can lift me up, they can uplift my spirit. Also, just take time out. There is it's where we are humans, we want to control everything. There is just some things that are out of our control. So you know, not to accept being defeated because you can't control it, but to taste, you know, this I can do, this I cannot do. So those are the things that have helped me. So just to quickly recap, knowing what my triggers are and how to avoid them, spending time with positive people and doing mindful activities, and also, you know, just really knowing what my limitations are have helped me. And most importantly, if you need help, ask for it, because everybody else, 90% of the time, most people are going through the same, is just showing up in different aspects.
I can actually definitely add on to that as well. I think, yeah, I think talking to someone, and especially for me as well, because I'm such a closed, or I've been told that I've been a very closed person. So I'm not very open with people emotionally unless I can really like trust them, or I feel safe or confident. So I think sometimes, I think that was part of the reason why university was even harder for me, because I would just feel like, no, I can deal with it. I've got this, you know, I like, I'm strong enough to do this. But sometimes we're just not, as people. Like, we are, you know, we're humans. We're made to, you know, we need each other. We're made to interact and to commune. So I feel like talking to someone, definitely. And for those that do struggle to talk to people about how you feel, sometimes it doesn't have to be several. Sometimes it could just be the one. You know, the one that you can rely on, the one that you can talk to, the one that you can express yourself to and feel comfortable with. It doesn't have to be several people, and the one that gives you the sound advice as well. And I think I also noticed triggers with myself during university. Like, my weight kept fluctuating throughout the whole of university. I would gain it, I would lose it, I would gain it. If I'm stressed, I won't eat. If I'm too stressed, then I'll eat too much. So it was kind of like, I realized that food was one of my triggers as well. And when I just shut down and I would just watch Netflix for the whole day, for the whole week, to try and, you know, avoid my responsibilities and stuff like that. And then I kind of started to realize that, oh, okay, when I start to feel like this, maybe it's because there's something going on that I just don't want to really address, and start to delve into what is that issue. So yeah, I can definitely relate to what you've just said.
You're right. Me too. We all have that personal trigger. Mine is I would probably sleep a lot, or I won't get enough sleep. It keeps me awake in the night, and then when I'm supposed to be awake, that's when I want to go and sleep, because I'm, you know, so it affects my sleep. And also, I eat the things that is not meant to be eaten. And you know, we all know the naughty foods. Just so I can comfort eat myself, so that I can feel better. But actually, it's not making me feel better. It's just making me feel. It's expanding my my weight. So, and the things that I found for myself is walking has helped me a lot. I found that I've been living in my area for over 7, 8, 10 years. There's some areas that I do not even know existed. It was during lockdown that I found out that I have got some. I didn't know that this leads to there, that leads to here, this leads to there. You know, I've been walking a lot, and that has helped me to able to manage myself during the COVID time. And I'm sure a lot of people were looking for something outlet to be able to, because nobody can tell me they did not get affected during COVID 2020. No one, I don't care how spiritual you are affected one way or the other, but finding how to manage it is very important. And that's what I did for myself, listening to a lot of music and spending more time with my family, and then doing a lot of work, and then start to eat the right meal. Although once in a while I fall off the scale, but hey, I get back on it and I continue and project. Hey, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Listening to music definitely helps. Like, I think someone said it one time, to try not to be alone with your thoughts, or silent for too long. Yes. Have something always playing in the background that's edifying, because sometimes when you're in complete silence, you know, there's a time for that as well, to be silent, to be still. But when you're in complete silence, sometimes your mind is going 100 miles an hour, thoughts start coming in. But if your focus and concentration is on a song or a sermon or, you know, a podcast or something playing in the background, it allows you to stay a bit more grounded. So I think, yeah, that's a really that's a really good one.
I can definitely testify to that music of a thing. It's interesting how music, you know, they say that music is the only thing that we've got no control over in our minds. So it's subconsciously, and that's why I try to play more positive music, because in my subconscious, even while I'm sleeping, I'm still able to still sing the songs. It's very interesting how not, but just my spirit just sing, and it's because I have listened to the music all day, and it has helped me. So I would advise anybody, definitely also do the music one. If you kind of go for a walk, because some people have health issues or things like that, they kind of go outside. I would definitely say the music, but make sure it's a positive music that's going to uplift your spirit while you're doing so.
That's it. That's right.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And one thing I've been thinking about recently is why, well, I think in the last couple of years, I think mental health has become, it's broadened in terms of diagnosis, in terms of people's awareness of it. But why do you think, I think there's still slightly a stigma around mental health, and
certainly,
especially in the Black community, you know, we don't even believe, a majority of people in the Black community don't even believe in going to therapy or in help. It's like my family, my support. Sometimes it's even, there's been this, it's actually so strange because sometimes I'll speak to a stranger and I feel like I'll get more from speaking, or I feel like I've released more with a stranger than when sometimes you speak to your family, and vice versa. So I think just why do you think that is? Why do you think there's a stigma around, you know, mental health, especially in the Black community?
For me, I would say it's not about not having the right information, because it's like I'm really happy now that there's now more awareness on what mental health is all about. Because in the olden, the thinking mental health means you're mad. It does not mean that. It just means that you have gone through a traumatic experience, and it has affected the stability of your mind, that it has traumatized you to the point that you cannot manage your emotion. So that doesn't mean you're crazy. Sometimes it gets to a threshold whereby you snap, because it's a continuous thing, and it has not been managed, it has not been dealt with, it has not been addressed. Then you got to one point, then you just give up and lose hope. So if I go to somebody in an African country, I say, oh, I've got mental issue, they're thinking that, oh, they need to take you to a place to, maybe you're being possessed by a demon or something, or you're mad, or they need to go and tie you down somewhere. Well, no, it's not about that. It's about, are you being able to speak to somebody to offload the things that has been a burden to you, that's gotten your mind to that state of that you cannot manage your mind. It's too much for you to handle, because at the end of the day, if you pour a water in a bottle and you keep on pouring the water in that bottle, the bottle can only take the capacity of the size. The water can only take, do you understand what I mean? So the water will end up overflowing. So that is what happens in mental health. There's so much this body can take, and then when it goes beyond that, that is when it transcends to a place where they will not need it got a clinical, or they need support from psychologists and all that. But it's not always that way all the time. So I believe that people need to be continually get educated about mental health. People are still believing that if you have mental health, then you can't be helped, or you're mad, or you the next thing you start tearing your clothes. No, it's not all about that. There are many sides and many different kind of mental health, and we just need to support people, talk to them, encourage them. They just need to pour out so that they can feel less burden. So that's my own take about that one.
I think what you just said there was actually really powerful in terms of even hearing it now, and just the way you explained it is freeing in some type of way, because sometimes when you are experiencing like a deficiency in your mental health, you sometimes do feel like you're actually going mad. Like, am I actually okay? But knowing, and especially with your you relating it to what people's perceptions were then, that if you had a mental health problem, you're automatically mad, you're not okay. And knowing that really it could just be because you're not expressing yourself, or really it could just be because you haven't taken the time to figure out what we mentioned before, triggers, and these little things that cause you to, like you use the analogy of the water in the bottle, it takes you to that point. So I feel like, yeah, even hearing that, it's really just been freeing as well, because sometimes you do feel like, am I actually going mad? When really it's just, you need to talk to someone or you need to express yourself. And I think, yeah, that stigma of being classed as mentally ill is also, you know, people don't want to be mentally, you know, or classed as mentally ill. And I think maybe even that word is ill could make people feel sometimes like, oh, there's something wrong with me, I have a sickness and this and that. And sometimes it can be diagnosed as that. And sometimes it could just be that you've let things pile up, like you mentioned, and it just needs time and therapy, and healing and stuff like that to be able to overcome. You know, with mental health, sometimes people think that that's it. Once you're mentally ill, that's it, you're done. But there is a way of overcoming it, and that is a daily step.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's pretty sad that in 2021, it's only now that people are slightly coming to the awareness of mental health. This has always been from the beginning of time. And, you know, everyone struggles somehow in some type of form of mental health. But it's such a shame that the stigma is still there, that when you're mentally unhealthy, people immediately, you know, jump off to say, oh, because, or you're possessed. I think the stigma is, there's no awareness, and it's lack of understanding. Because for what we know is, and, you know, diagnosis and awareness, there's so many forms of mental health. It could just be, and sometimes it's just a chemical imbalance in someone's body. So sometimes, you know, once they've given them the medication, can help them, but the stigma is always there that you are again, going off Grace's analogy of, you know, the bottle and the water. It basically, a mental unhealthiness is because things happening they didn't, and it's just of everything. So therefore, you know, the pressure be too much, and then you. So I think the way the stigma can be reduced is if we continue making awareness, also continue to educate people that this is something that can be cured. It's not something that cannot be cured. It's also something that can be maintained. You know, something as simple as, you know, if you're having a stressful time, you go for a walk. If you do that over time, you won't have so much. And also talk to people. It's important. Is just because they've, you know, the stigma is also, oh, you know, it's like a shameful thing to be mentally unhealthy. Mental health is like any other sickness. You know, it's like any other sickness. If you're unwell, you go to the doctors, you get a prescription. So why should mental health be any different? You know, and it's such a shame in the Black society that, you know, we don't believe in therapists, in psycho. We don't believe in that. We believe, oh, it's just a waste of time. I've had people said, you know, I always say I'm for speaking to a therapist. I'm 100% for it, anytime, any day. But I've had people say, oh, why would you want to do that? And I personally have not done that yet because I've got a good support system.
Yeah.
But if I definitely feel that, you know, it's too much, I would definitely speak to a therapist. I have no issues doing that. And I advise anybody around me as well to do so. It's healthy. Because as much as, yes, we want to base the spirituality and say, you know, it's the devil, but I also believe that the same God gave these people the understanding and of the knowledge to guide you through the knots of life. And that's what they're there for. And why not use them? Is my question. Why not use them?
And I think even adding on to that as well, I think people have this perception that if you have a mental health imbalance or something like that, they always think about the extremes, depression, anxiety. But sometimes if you wake up and you have a low mood, if you're sad, or if you find out that, you know, you're building up pent up anger or frustration, like all of these little things are part of your mental health.
It adds up.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be something big and dramatic and, you know, I'm diagnosed with this, that. Like, it's a daily thing to be able to check your mental health and say, okay, actually, I realize I'm sad. Okay, why am I sad? What was the last thing that happened that I can remember that made me feel sad? Okay, now I realize that this is the particular situation that made me feel sad. Why did I react that way? It doesn't have to be, you know, to the extremes or to the, you know, the ones that have been not a diagnosis, but you know, it could well be just you were happy 1 minute, you're sad, and why? It could just be something that someone said to you, the way they said it, possibly. And you know, I think that's where the stigma comes, that, you know, some people don't even recognize that they are even in that position because they think, oh, mental health is like, I have to be depressed. But really, you could just be in a really sad or emotional state that you can't quite understand. And that could be a form of, you know, a deficiency in your mental health. Because then once that situation occurs, how are you addressing it? How are you unpacking it? How are you evaluating and reflecting? And I think reflection as well is a big thing in terms of overcoming or combating negative thoughts, and reflecting about your daily actions, the way you speak to people, the way you care for people, the way you do things, you know. And I think that all encompasses, you know, mental health. So
wow,
that's
awesome, very important. And I believe this mental health has been in existence for so many years. A lot of people have been experiencing it, but nobody is able to now support them because they are not educated. They are not aware on what mental health is. They don't even know what mental health is. To them, is madness. And thank God right now that a lot of organizations are sprung up. They are coming up, supporting their community, supporting the nations, you know, educating people, going to offices, going to churches. I said it. Churches, going to churches to educate churches that when somebody is going through mental health, it's not because they have got demon or they are possessed by evil. No, it's just because they need somebody to sit down and talk to them, ask them what is happening. You haven't paid your rent. Even when you can't pay your rent, that could actually affect your mental health. They don't have enough money to buy their food. They don't know what they're homeless. Those things they are the triggers to send somebody to that place. So you don't know, instead of you telling them, oh, they should come for deliverance, find out what is going on in their lives. Find out what is happening in their lives that they just could not handle it anymore. Maybe the husband and wife they're having issue, or a child is behaving somehow that it has affected the family to, you know. So we need to be more sensitive. We need to have more empathy when it comes to mental health, and be sensitive, just be vigilant, be aware,
Yeah.
put yourself in the shoe of the person first.
Yeah. And I think even biblically, like David was a great example, because if you look at the whole of Psalms, he's basically having several mental health breakdowns.
Yeah.
But then being encouraged, you know, and then looking
Yes.
to God and being reminded of who God is in that situation. But that doesn't mean you can't be sad, you know. And I think in especially we have this stigma that I have to be strong. It is well. Sometimes it is not well. Like it's and it's okay to be honest about that.
I think one thing I just wanted to say, I think it's the thing, I mean, my takeaway from this conversation now, we're just and just liberating it. We live in a very stressful world. Waking up sometimes is stressful because you have to plan your way to get to work. You have to make sure you feed the kids, feed the husband, feed everything. So there's a lot of stresses that are going on. You know, it's just, I mean, my thing will just let us be a bit more aware of ourselves personally and also those around us. Yes. Because everybody's on 100, constantly on 100, constantly on 100. So, you know, it's just so that we can be aware and just sometimes just take a step back. Again, I would like to reiterate, you know, be in a positive environment, be in people that will lift you up. Because if you're being lifted up, then you can also pour into other people. Yeah. And try and remove toxic from because there's a lot of toxic and there's a lot of toxicity that's happening. So we need to be very, very careful and wrap ourselves in a lot of positivity. Yes, also be realistic. Yes, but positivity and realistic will work.
Yeah. So yeah, I've everything that everyone has said today I've definitely taken stuff away, and I'm sure whoever's watching will definitely have something to take away. I think the biggest thing we've spoken about in summary is being mindful, being aware, and I think that's a really great thing for people to take on board, because sometimes, you know, even like we've said, going on walks, we're aware of things or places in our areas that we haven't seen before. That just takes time to be able to be still and to actually realize what's going on around you. So I just want to thank you both, Grace and Linda, for being part of this discussion today. It's been very enriching, and yeah, does anyone want to add any last bits?
I just want to say, you know, thank you to our amiable ambassador. Thank you for putting these quick sessions together. You know, it's a topic that, like we said from the beginning, we cannot finish in one day because it's so diverse. There's so many layers to it. But I think our start of point is good that we're aggressive and being real. Also being real and realistic in our expectations. Yeah. You know, one thing I definitely want to say to all of us is there's more work to be done. Definitely. You know, there's much work to be done. And also, you know, the people around us, if we can just, you know, like what Grace was saying, let's be, you know, empathy always comes to mind most of the time. Just because, you know, somebody has not called you does not mean, you know, they're not going through their own things. But those are around us, let us try and, you know, just try and manage while we're managing our own mental health, because we live in a VUCA world, which means it's always going to be precious. But let's continue to be positive and continue to pull people up and keep our peace, and also use the word of God. Like you said, Esther, you know, even David, let's encourage ourselves and God will continue to help us. So that's my really just, you know, conclusion. Let's be positive, and there's much more work to be done. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Do you have any last words?
My own conclusion is like I will second what Linda said. Is to be mindful of people around you. Do what works for you. You know, what works for me might not work for you. I like to go
Yeah.
for a walk. I like to listen. Sometimes my children know. I'll just put on the music. I just start dancing. I'll just be dancing.
Yeah.
Okay, what's wrong with her? I'll be singing, whether in tune or out of tune. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you are letting out the stress in your body, and drinking a lot of water, going for a walk. You know, sometimes if you know that you want to go out, and you can walk to where you're going. If it's 30 minutes, 20 minutes, walk there. And by the time you're coming back, if you're tired, then you can take the bus. You know, try to make
Yeah.
a decision to make sure you're doing things that is going to help you to make you to make you better, to make your to stabilize your mental state and all that. Just and keep friends that are gonna support you, friends that are gonna always you know, I don't know how to say this, friends that are gonna continue
Support you and
support.
lift you up.
That needs support is very important. That needs support
Yeah.
is very important. And you yourself, you need to know that it's not all about you. Even though you're mental health, the person you are dumping on
Yeah.
sometimes needs
Yes,
somebody
also.
to
Yes,
support
that's
them.
very
So if
important,
you're
I feel. Yes.
don't let it be one way. Oh, it's me. No,
Yeah.
the person you're dumping
Yeah.
on, in the state that you met them, what are they going through?
Depleted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to also one day switch off and trying to reach out to that person, to that, look, okay, what are you going through? What do you need me?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you have been my shoulder. What can I want to be your shoulder today? So we need to we need to bounce off.
Mhm.
That's what I believe. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, ladies. We really appreciate your input, your vulnerability today, and definitely below we'll signpost some great organizations that are doing their bit daily to support people with mental health. You know, places like Samaritans and the Mind UK. And please feel free to drop anything in the comments, you know, if you've related to anything that we've said, if you found anything interesting, if you have your own experiences that you want to share, please we welcome, you know, communication in the chat. Please like, share and comment. We'll be having more videos. We'll definitely have a part 2 coming up probably in a few weeks, so definitely look out for that. And yeah, I'll let everyone go.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I would just
Thank you, and then we'll see you in the
Sorry, I would like to say that everybody should go to our YouTube page and subscribe to our YouTube page, and that is how you're gonna get and also click on the button so that you can get notification of anytime we share more information on different issues, different events that we are doing in Shalom Link Mission. Thank you everybody for coming to join us today.
Thank you everybody, and God bless.
God bless.
Bye.